Growing up, I was a Nintendo kid, but for some reason, I totally missed out on the Nintendo DS. One of the best-selling handhelds of all time that shaped an entire generation, I completely missed out on. But in 2025, I finally picked one up. Today, I want to share that journey, how I totally missed out on the Nintendo DS boom, what I was playing back then, and how discovering the DS in my adult life hit so much harder than I expected. So let's rewind a little bit. The Game Boy Advance launched in 2001, and shortly after, in 3 years, the Nintendo DS launched in 2004. That's kind of wild to actually think about. 3 years is all we got between two major handheld consoles. And here's the thing, I didn't even get a Game Boy Advance until closer to the DS launch. Growing up, we barely got consoles at release. A lot of times in our house, it would come a year or two later from the actual release date. So I was just getting into the GBA when everyone was getting hyped over dual screens, touch controls, and PictoChat. I think the timing of it has a huge factor on why I totally missed out on the DS. I was still playing Mario Kart Super Circuit and Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire while this new handheld was coming out that I hadn't even got comfortable with the GBA at that point. But timing wasn't the only reason. I was about to be a teenager during the mid 2000s, and at the launch, the DS just kind of seemed childish. I remember seeing the original DS at launch and thinking it just doesn't look good. It was chunky. I didn't really care for the dual screens back then, and I didn't really care to have something with a stylus either. So I think as I was growing up, my taste for gaming was growing up, and I wasn't as much into Nintendo as I was other things like Sony. The PSP had dropped pretty close to the same time frame as it, and while the DS looked clunky and kind of hokey with childish features, my eyes were more set on my next handheld console being the Sony PSP. A sleek black multimedia machine that looks like a handheld PS2. The PSP just had games that I was more wanting to play, the GTA series and the God of Wars, and I didn't want to play Mario as much during that time. I wanted something more violent and more mature. And on top of that, the PS2 was dominating my life. I was playing GTA Vice City and the Tony Hawk series, Need for Speed, God of War, and I was dabbling into other games like The Warriors and Bully. My gaming taste was leaning into a more edgy, violent, mid-2000s skateboarding and music and everything else, and the Nintendo DS just did not fit that vibe. So as my time with the GBA was coming to an end, I wasn't looking to get the next Nintendo console of a Nintendo DS. I was looking at a Sony PSP, and I ended up getting the Star Wars bundled one that came out in 2007. And I was actually pretty lucky to get that at launch at that time. So the time of me getting my GBA console later in its release, and my taste for genres changing and going towards a PSP, I totally missed out on Nintendo DS. The only real DS experience I ever had was Pokemon Soul Silver, but I didn't even play it on a DS. I played it on a 3DS years after the generation of the DS was over. Basically, I experienced the 3DS era through a backwards compatibility loophole. Now Soul Silver was great, but I totally missed out on the excitement of the DS life. The midnight releases, the Nintendo Wi-Fi connections, the multiplayer chaos, and the heyday of the dual screen revolution. It all just passed me by. Then we fast forward to 2025 and something happened. I started recollecting retro games. I've been picking up PS2 and GameCube games and a variety of Pokemon titles, and I just ended up picking up a DS Lite. It was clean and it was cheap, and it has a lot to do with why I picked it up. I wanted to expand on things that I haven't ever played before, like the DS. And honestly, once I picked it up, everything kind of changed. The moment that I held it and flipped it on and seen the dual screens light up, it was like discovering a time capsule that I was never a part of. And the games, I had no idea how good these games were. One of the first games I picked up was New Super Mario Bros. A game that most people of my generation think is nostalgia. It was brand new to me, and once I started playing it, I could not put it down. It felt like a perfect bridge between classic Mario and modern Mario. The physics, the power-ups, and the soundtrack, it just seemed so polished. And I kept telling myself, how did I miss out on this? And it instantly became one of my favorite Mario experiences ever. And that's when I realized the DS wasn't childish. It was timeless. And after playing New Super Mario Bros., I kind of went down the rabbit hole. I started trying DS classics that people have been praising for 2 decades now. Mario Kart DS, one of the tightest Mario Karts of all time. I did rebuy Pokemon Soul Silver, and I've been having a blast with it. It is honestly my favorite Pokemon game of all time. It's like you're getting 2 games in one with 2 regions. And Pokemon Generation 2 is my favorite Pokemon generation. Then there's Mario Party DS. The Mario Party DS might be one of the most underrated Mario Parties of all time. Full boards, real mini games, and somehow works so well on a handheld system. Also playing the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series. It's not about collecting badges, it's all about the story. I didn't think I was going to enjoy them as much as I have been. Or even Pokemon Rangers, the unique way of catching Pokemon with a stylus. It's so unique that it can only live on the Nintendo DS. And Diddy Kong Racing. It's like taking my favorite N64 game on the N64 and cramming it into a handheld for on the go. The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. Mario and Luigi's Bowser's Inside Story. Wario in Disguise. I even played some games that I've never even heard of, like Elite Beat Agent, or 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. These aren't just good games, they're some of the most creative games that Nintendo has ever put out on a handheld console, and the DS displays them like no other console could. 2 screens, touch controls, microphone. The developers got weird in the best way possible. The more that I play DS now, the more that I realized that I missed out on something very special growing up. Not because it would define my childhood, but because it gave me experiences that I never knew that I needed. In 2025, the DS feels comforting. It feels simple and it feels creative. It's a way that modern game rarely attempts now. Opening up the clamshell design and turning it on and seeing the dual screens brighten up and the chime of the DS logo. It feels nostalgic even though I'm late to the game. It's like borrowing someone else's memories and making them my own. So yeah. I grew up without the Nintendo DS, but rediscovering it now has been one of the best retro gaming surprises in my adult life. If you ever missed out on a console growing up, or maybe you're rediscovering a console or game that you haven't played in years, I would like to hear about it down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive on this DS journey that I never had, hit the subscribe button and continue to join me on this retro journey that we call YouTube. And stick around for more retro content. I'm Cameron, and this is Retro Carnage.